Hello, y'all. Welcome to BLOOMBOX.
I'm Leanne.
I'm Kalandra.
And actually, we're coming to you today on, I believe, Galentine's Day, which is the February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day.
The day before.
We decided to, it is about the time we usually have decided to schedule a BLOOMBOX anyways. Just happened to fall.
On a Galentine's Day.
On a Galentine's Day.
And who better to talk to on today than your gals, Kalandra and Leanne.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I don't know if we were allowed to say it, but we are drinking Moscato, sparkling Moscato, which could not be more Galentine's-y.
Yes.
I don't know how
really,
what the
really
legalities of showing you this are, but we do work at a liquor store also.
We grown.
Yeah. Anyway, yes. So we thought our topic today would be friendship.
Yeah.
I guess in our case, female friendship, but I would think that
it's gender neutral
fluid for friendships, and not only friendships with other people, but friendships with yourself and being your own best friend, and the dynamics with friendship and how friendships are a safe space, but they can also be complicated sometimes,
and how they're supposed to evolve. They're not necessarily supposed to, but the best ones evolve with you.
I think that goes for all relationships, really. You have to build a strong foundation so that you feel safe within the relationship or the friendship, so that you can be honest with each other and vulnerable with each other, and also show your darker sides when you're in a bad headspace, and feel safe to do that, and move through those times and come out the other side stronger friends rather than nixing the friendship.
Should we talk about our weeks?
Yeah, we've had a bit of a week. Astrologically speaking, things have been intense.
Yeah.
And lots of personal things swirling around outside of that and outside of our friendship. And one of the biggest things I think that we have learned, or I have learned, is communication styles and
meeting folks where they're at, as opposed to shifting that, I suppose. What's up with the planetary aspects?
Well, we had
today.
Right. Well, I think we're out of all of the. I'm not an astrologer or an expert on this. Let me just say that right now. But last week or the week before, we had a void moon time. There was this really weird day. It was a Tuesday. I want to say it was like the 20. I have some friends that would know this. It was the end of January. It's like the 25th, 24th, around that time. But there was this 24-hour void moon energy on top of, I think Venus was still in retrograde at the time, and Mercury was in retrograde. And I was born during a Mercury retrograde.
Wow.
I was born during a Mercury retrograde under a full moon on a Friday.
Sweet G's.
I know. That may explain a few things.
Sweet G's.
But, so Mercury retrogrades don't necessarily always affect me personally. Even full moon energy, I feel, but it's I really felt this void energy. I have this very distinct memory, and there was some kind of stressful, emotionally charged things going on around me and in my life over those 2 days. But I remember feeling there was just this, void energy is I was in the vacuum. I was driving home from back to work from my break to let my dog out, and it was weird. It was everything just felt really quiet. And
I've been having a lot of that over the past couple weeks. And
I think that even though those situations are supposed to be 24 hours, there's usually that energy building up to it and then
dying down away
leaving from it. That's sort of just like spill out. And there's, I mean, like I said, I'm not an astrologer, so I would have to have a friend who's an astrologer come on to talk about it.
If you know something, or if you are an astrologer or into like tarot or whatever, if you know something about this topic specifically, feel free to comment. We could all use the clarification.
Yeah.
I'm no expert either, but I am super interested.
I felt it.
I do know that I don't really notice how like things shift around me when like the retrogrades and the planetary aspects appear all the time. But sometimes, and I think this was one of them, I can totally be like, yep, that's what that is right now. And I feel for one that during like the Venus retrograde period, I was having a lot of sort of like a reconnection with my body and a reconnection with my like comfort and my I don't know if I want to use the word like beauty, but like the way that I decided to like dress and take care of myself.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I feel like I was more in tune with my body during that time period, and I'm getting like to build up point where it's like I feel like this urge to run and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. I wish I felt the urge to run. I just want to
like a slow
rest.
More like a jog, maybe even a brisk walk. But you know,
that is how I
run. Walk fast.
I remember I was like, when I had a brief fling with running, I was like, this is just not enjoyable for me. And I feel like I was just walking really fast and putting more energy into it that made it unenjoyable. I love walking. I mean, I went on a big walk. Like my last trip to Scotland, some friends and I went, and we literally walked the borders between all these different ruined abbeys on the Scottish border. So we walked miles, and I loved walking. But running, you add that extra little, and I just hate it, and I don't know what it is.
When I was in middle school, this is a tangent, but when I was in middle school, I ran track, and I probably was like the absolute worst teammate ever because like as soon as my run was over, I was at 0. I was like in the like concession stands. I was like loaded up with like the nachos and stuff. Sorry if I was in middle school with you and didn't see, but I was not there. I was there because I had to be. My dad was like, "You need to do this," and I was like, I don't want to. I mean, I did all right, but I totally, like, after I did what I needed to do, I was, like, snacking and...
That's hysterical. Well, you were replenishing your energy.
It wasn't for replenishment. It was because I needed it. My soul needed it.
Well, okay. I was going to say, but that's something
it wasn't, like, energy restoration. It was, like...
Comfort food.
It was comfort food. Yes, dude. It was totally comfort food.
I just did this thing I hate. Now I'm going to eat a bunch of Cheetos.
All I need is cheese.
Yeah.
Give me the cheese.
Give me nachos. That was a total tangent. That's funny.
Totally.
I forgot what we were talking about.
We were talking about, communication and...
this is planetary.
Friendship.
So, in friendships.
Talking about our weeks.
So, our weeks. So, we had this intense energy that we all went through, and I felt like I was on my way out of that energy, and I was very grateful for it. But I don't think I was fully out of, like, a venting type headspace about things that were going on with me. And I am a Leo, and when I get distressed, I tend to go outwardly seeking comfort and validation, and I think sometimes I talk. Well, I also like to talk a lot. Anybody that knows me knows I like to talk a lot. So I will talk out my concerns and problems, not really thinking much of it because I'm just either getting it out of my head. It helps me process. Very much so looking for validation for what I'm feeling sometimes to a degree. And I also realize that I sometimes, the irony is I don't like to like bother people, so I won't necessarily blow up your phone with "Hi, how you doing?" type text. But if I have friends that I trust with my feelings, and if I have an issue, I may reach out and be like, this just happened, and what do I do? Which can be draining on that friend if they feel you're only reaching out to them when you have problems. Yeah. And that's something... I
have totally been there.
That's, I'm horrified to think that I would ever, be a draining friend who everybody want to write runs for the hills whenever they see a text from me come through, be like, oh my gosh, what's going on with her now? And I hope that's not what what I do. But it's like you go down that rabbit hole of like, you know, going online with friends doing like Dear Abby things to folks, being like, my friend is so annoying, I have to like can't handle talking to her anymore. And like you go down these rabbit holes at 4 o'clock in the morning of like, oh my god, am I that friend?
Dude, you know the best part about all of what you're saying?
I'm also single and live by myself, so it's like I have my dog to talk to, and
Sam's just like,
Sam, look what happened today. What do I do, buddy? He's like, I don't know, pet me and give me treats. So
you know what you could do that'll fix that right up? You can scratch my back.
Yeah.
You can scratch my back right now.
Right. Instead, I turn to Instagram and Facebook Messenger to my poor friends who I love. I love all of you who are always there for me.
And you know what? The thing is, though, just me riffing off of what you're saying, because I relate.
Yeah.
And there's like this total like cringe when you realize that, oh man, am I being like too vulnerable with this person right now? Or like, oh man, am I asking for too much? Like, I don't have much to give, but I'm asking for something. Mm-hmm. Is that like, that's how I feel sometimes when I'm like, oh man, I'm about to like have a fucking meltdown right now.
Mm-hmm. And the other person doesn't know it too. That's the hard thing with like social media and phones, honestly. Like, I've never been much of a phone person because terrified I'm going to like interrupt what somebody's doing, but for some reason you don't think of that.
Well, I think you also, like, as far as social media goes, like the what am I trying to say? Like, everybody uses it differently. Mm-hmm. Everybody is using it totally differently. Like, I use mine mostly to just share my business information and for the purpose of building my brand and building like my, I don't know, like building me as a person. Sometimes I like to go forward for information and things like that. Yeah. But also, like, some folks really do put everything, like, you are an outward speaking processing person. Right. But you don't process it with your phone necessarily. You process it with your people that you trust. Works. So there's like, so there's like this really like weird double-edged sword of using social media to try to gauge where your friends are. If, you know, if they're really your friends, you know that that's not like always that's not all that there is to this person is their social media. But also there's the other edge of the sword of seeing that and making it, like, seeing their social media and using it as a way to kind of, like, justify you're not reaching out or not, like, coming to this person who you trust to be that friend. Yeah. So, like, and this is just me, you're my friend, we're friends. I think, and maybe this is just me, I like hearing people like that I like and trust talk.
Their voice.
Yeah, I love hearing, and I love like knowing how you are. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to explain it, but like communicating like what you're feeling or going through or what's bothering you or what's making you absolutely delighted is like the ultimate like joy for me.
Well, that's being a good friend. My grandma actually used to get a big kick out of, she was like the sweetest lady in the planet, honestly. She used to list, like, if I had a friend over, she would sit upstairs and she would listen to us. I had one friend and we would make tapes. So we would take, we'd make audio recordings. I don't know if I ever told you. We would make audio recording, like we would make like commercials or television shows, but they were like a radio show because we were audio taping them. And we would go through my either my parents or her parents, depending on whose house we were at. We would go through the record collection. These are old records, right? So we would find these records, and we would just find the record and make something up to go along with that.
Oh record. Man, that sounds like a good time.
And we just, oh my God, we would just get like hysterically laughing. It was just super ridiculous and so much fun. I remember like, it was like a Rolling Stones You Sexy thing. And I think my friend, her name was Charity. She had, it was like she made it up to be like a perfume. And it was just, I could still hear her in her voice. And I can still see the rust orange 70s carpet that was in my basement and like smell the books, the old bookcase.
Oh, yeah.
And we were just sitting on the floor with this. I'm a little older than you, so this was in like the 80s, 90s, early 90s, and we were just being ridiculous and silly and like making these commercials. And my grandma would sit upstairs if she was like, you know, there watching me, or if my parents were away, or if she was visiting. She would just listen to us having a good time, and it would make her smile and laugh. Like she wouldn't even, you know, be watching the TV. Maybe she was knitting, or I don't know, reading a book. She liked to read books or something, but she was getting almost as much joy out of us listening to us as we were getting being ridiculous kids downstairs. So that's the same thing, really. Mm-hmm. It's likening it to my grandma's simple enjoyment of somebody else enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Or like somebody's laugh. You know, my old boss at TV Guide has one of the best laughs in the planet, and whenever he would laugh in the cubicle next to me, it would make me smile. Same thing with my cousin's husband, Frederick. He's got one of the best laughs on the planet. It just makes you laugh.
Making me think of
shout
my
out
dad.
To Frederick and Elena.
I need to hear these laughs.
Oh, I'll get Frederick on the phone for you.
just tell him, like, hey, man, I need you to laugh.
You just need to laugh at Kalandra, because she'll
get excuse me? It's like, I just need to hear it, please.
Yeah.
I need the contagious laughter.
Very few folks have had contagious laughs that just make you want to, just makes your life better in that moment.
My dad totally does.
Really?
Oh, man. He has, like, this deep, like, he, like, snickers at the end of his laughs. And it's just, like, it rolls and rolls and rolls, and you eventually just can't help but to laugh with him.
My dad had a great laugh, too.
So, on the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm totally introverted. And I have struggled with my introversion for a minute because I didn't understand what it meant for me. I didn't understand, or rather, I really totally ignored all of the symptoms or all of the ways that I was causing myself more harm by pushing myself outward as opposed to going back within to reflect. So for me, this week, I have been going through quite a tumultuous time with my home. I'm rebuilding it. I'm buying new furniture. I'm saving up for furniture. I am putting things where they need to be, and I'm truly making it comfortable for myself. And one of my favorite pastimes that I have not had a chance to enjoy for a minute is playing video games. And it's like every time I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I can finally play my video games, and my apartment is like nice and neat, and I have meal prepped, and like everything is where it needs to be at. It's like as soon as I get to that point, something happens, or something pulls me outside of my home. Now, I'm a Cancer with a Gemini moon, and it's really kind of interesting because like the Cancerian part of myself wants to exist in here. Like I'm always thinking, thanks to the Gemini moon, I'm always thinking, I'm always processing, I'm always like examining my own emotions. So sometimes when I become really like overwhelmed or stressed out by the amount of projects I have, which is recently I've been having like tons and tons of projects, and it's forcing me to really like step back and realize that I can't emotionally, energetically, physically commit myself to so many things at once. And it causes me to, I can't talk. Like I can't express myself as much as I normally do. And sometimes it comes to a point where like, as opposed to like, I'm functioning at like 20%, for instance. So I'm functioning at 20%. I come into a space and I'm normally like the hey type of person. Like, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hope you're all right. You know, what projects are you working on? Oh, you need some advice on this thing? Let me figure it out for you. I'm that person outside of home. But I have been really feeling called to go back in myself. And I've resisted it for so long because I'm like, I gotta keep being that person. Gotta maintain the standard that I've been working at, but I've really been taxing myself And when I get into this over functioning, it makes me hardcore neglect my introverted self. And that's when I feel like I become really shitty at communicating my needs. And on the outside, I have been told this by like my closest dearest friend. When that happens, I can totally just become really short. I become really short. I say nothing more that needs to be said. And if you are a friend, it kind of looks like you have done something, but it's not that at all. It's me. So I have had to learn how to just say, like, look, I'm only functioning at like 10% max today. Like, that's all I got. Right. So, like, can I have a hug? Like, can I have a hug? And then we, like, not talk for a bit. Yeah. And then, like, tomorrow I'll be fine. Yeah. But I'm finding that as far as, like, my friendships go, boundaries are becoming, like, my biggest ally. And, like, learning how to communicate them in a way that's not, like, I've held this in for so long that all I have now is this distorted, emotion-fueled communication that's not fair or completely accurate.
Right. Well, and then couple that back on to a situation of, like, you know, being around somebody else who may also be in a state. Yeah, me this time. Who, in my extroverted, I'm not even an extrovert, but I just get like, because I'm quiet a lot when I'm at home, I get very chatty when I'm outside of the house, and I get like,
it's the opposite.
Wanting to like talk and be like, I guess I don't think I'm an introverted extrovert, although I guess it depends on the situation. But
yeah, I can see that tendency in you.
Right. But I get blind to the fact that I'm also not an only child, but I was by myself a lot as a kid because my siblings are so much older than me. So I was like, I got sort of an only child treatment with siblings since I was home. So I spent a lot of time on my own, just focused on myself. Mm-hmm. Add that into being on your own, like in the city and living by yourself and not having a spouse or not having kids. I didn't even have a pet for a long time. So you get really used to, you're the only person you have to really think about or like take into consideration. So every decision I've ever really had to make only involved me, you know? So you get very self-focused, I guess is my point. I hate to use the word selfish because I don't do it to like hurt anybody. But it's very self-focused in that you don't realize, other people have things going on that it's pulling their focus, like their kids and their family and their job.
Oh, man.
And I don't, my family is up north, so I don't, and they're all, doing their own thing, so I don't necessarily feel like I have to take care of anybody.
Right.
Which is a blessing, too, because you don't feel like... I don't know how to... That's the holder? No, I feel like that sounded bad, the way I just said that.
Maybe it wasn't accurate.
Well, not all of us... I'd like to feel like none of us are like a burden to it.
Yeah.
I mean, we try to help each other rather than pull each other down. I don't know what the word is for that. I feel it's a good thing because I don't feel like anybody drains each other. I don't know.
You feel like it's just like you meet each other where you're at, as opposed to...
I guess so.
It's like having a friendship with someone, but you don't see them often. Like you see them every blue moon or every couple years, but when you get back to them, it's like it picked right up where it was. There's no like feelings of like abandonment or like...
No. Yeah, I guess so. It's more of a gentle energy of everyone's there for each other.
Yeah.
I guess. So I don't ever feel like there's a weight or that I'm failing anybody.
Yeah.
So it's a blessing, I guess.
That is a blessing because I feel like...
there can be a lot of drama in some families.
For sure.
And I don't feel like my family has a lot of drama like that. And I'm grateful for that.
Boy, I could talk to you for ages about my family drama. But I
think
think
there's zero
that,
family drama. I feel like that. I feel like there's like zero family drama.
Oh boy.
In my family. I mean, I guess compared to
as far as like, you know, like circling it back to communication, I think that a lot of like the friendships that we have and build upon, obviously, let me move this over some, obviously have like root in. Oh no, just trying to get this out of the way.
Really comfortable.
Oh yeah, guys, I don't care anymore. Obviously, a lot of our relationship and friendship dynamics have like loads to do with our childhood friendship dynamics, the relationships with our like cousins and siblings and things like that. Now, my introversion is phenomenally not the same way that it is like in my personal life as opposed to like in my business life. Or like when I'm talking about my art. My art is obviously something I'm like super passionate about. And I really feel that like my purpose in my art is to encourage and celebrate and like uplift and remind people of like not only like the positive aspects of, you know, being women, but also like that sometimes this shit is hard and every now and then we need a little just sprinkle of optimism or encouragement to get us to the next step. But I feel that more times than not, because like I have so many cousins. I have so many cousins, and I actually just rekindled a relationship with a cousin that I hadn't talked to in a long time, and oh my gosh, like I'm in love. Like the support and the love is like genuine, and it's something that I haven't had in a minute.
Yeah, that's nice.
But like most, like this massive network of cousins I have, and it's just there was not really much unconditional love. And being the introvert that I was, I really just wanted to support and help, but I wasn't always able to. And I was also the youngest of my cousins. I was always kind of like the I don't want to use the word scapegoat necessarily, but I was always the like I had to people please. I became a people pleaser, and the introversion made it harder for me to like really step up and be like, these are what my boundaries are. Mm-hmm. This is how I'm going to be treated. But then you have the added element of being the only person in my family who doesn't have children. And that can be quite lonely too. And one thing that I have been thinking about a lot is the interesting dynamic of being like a childless woman in groups of women that do have children, because it feels like there's like this exclusion, like you feel like you get excluded because you can't relate to the children, like to having children. You can't relate to being in like this like long-term committed relationship, or you know that juggle. Although like I've helped my cousins raise their children, and I have been there to like on the sleepless long nights and taking care of the babies when let the moms get sleep. But there's this awkward sort of, I don't know, like hierarchy, it seems sometimes. But as opposed to getting caught up in that mindset, I have had to realize that it's not my job to feel like I have to meet them where they are, or like inject myself into their busy schedule. I can just see what they need if they need anything. Yeah. I can just see what they need and what they need help with, and that's how I like to be a good friend, whether it be for my cousins or my friends who have kids or not. Because some of us are introverted too. Like I have a friend who's like extremely introverted, but when we talk and we get together, it's like nourishing for both of us, I can tell. But we both have a tendency to, when we're going through a rough patch, we go back into ourselves. So I'm like telepathically like, I hope she's good. I hope she's doing well. I hope she knows that I love her. Good vibes, blah, blah, blah. And like, I feel like the next day, like the same. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know what she's doing or what's happening, but I feel the love and she's going to be all right. We'll hang out soon. Oh, sure. And it's like just so interesting to be introverted, but also to be drawn to people and to like want to have like conversations about everything and to explore like the depths of friendship and the depths of like sisterhood.
Yeah. Well, I think, I don't know, all these words too, like introvert and extrovert. I feel like there's so many layers to that because we are always so.
There's so many layers to human experience.
Yeah, and there's so many gifts actually about being attached to being not introverted, specifically, but like a quieter, more observant person. Because, I mean, you can't be all of one. Like, we can't all be loud. We can't all be quiet. But I think you need that in a relationship sometimes. Like, you need to listen to each other.
Oh, man.
So it's like, if everybody's just talking at each other, you're not going to hear each other.
Yeah,
I think that's okay. And you also have the different levels of, like, you're talking about your cousin and, you know, you both kind of get each other on that. So it's clear you both have the same tendency to go within. So you're probably both doing the same thing. And telepathy is a real thing, my friends. I will tell you. You can definitely kind of hear like what other people are sometimes. But there's also such a thing as like I will use my best friend from growing up as an example of like I almost feel like we're more like cousins and family, probably because we've known each other since we were like in actually preschool. I think we've known each other since then, but we do not talk every day. And she's got beautiful kids and a great husband, and her family, her sister and her parents and her job, and we are both doing our own thing. I know, as do I have a job and all that stuff, but never once have I ever felt like we can't just talk out of nowhere. Like I could not have seen her for years or even talked to her for years, and I would could call her up if I was nearby and go over, and we would talk and have the same energy around each other as if we had never separated.
That's love. And
that's a super blessing in a real friend, because it's truly unconditional, right? There's that whole, it's a whole topic in and of itself, unconditional versus conditional love. I mean, that's a loaded thing right there. I was also going to say too, I think we also feel guilty when we get upset with our loved ones sometimes. Like, oh my God, if I'm angry at this person right now, does that mean I don't love them? Yeah, or are they going to just up and abandon me for, being angry with them, or vice versa.
Or holding them accountable.
Yeah, but we're not always going to like something, it's unreasonable to think that we're going to just love every single thing everybody else does. So it's funny how we put so much stress on ourselves to think, well, oh my God, if I'm angry with them right now, does that mean I don't love them? It's funny, right? To think about
totally people pleasing. And I've caught myself in that thought pattern a few times, because I'm meeting people all the time now, and it's sort of silly for me in my Cancerian brain to really, really believe that people just know my boundaries. They should just know it. It should be common sense. And if a person does something that I don't like, they should know, because my face will say it. No, man, no. I have to be... Not only do you have to be, is it, a radical act of self-love to have boundaries, but you also have to defend those boundaries, and not necessarily in this, poke you with a stick from a distance sort of way, but in a way of, lovingly, don't do that again. Don't do that again. Don't speak to me in that energy, or don't disrespect my time, or don't treat me like anything less than how, you should. And that's different for everyone. But it's also different when you have had those boundaries, you've executed protecting them, and you've communicated what they are, And sometimes, people will continuously disrespect your boundaries, and that's a part of it too. It's a less spoken of part of it, but it's also just a part of having friendships. And if you feel like you're in a friendship, because I have been in so many one-sided toxic friendships, if you ever feel like you have done those things, you said what you needed, or you've spoken your boundaries, and this isn't always, I do not support like counseling folks or like cutting people off like right away. I feel like it's a process by which you determine, or you have that conversation with yourself, like if this quirk or if this trait of this person is going to be like not, I can't, like compensate with it.
Abusive.
Yeah, if it's abusive, or, well, mostly just abusive. Because let's be honest, like if there's a friend that you have that, for instance, continues to bring up a topic that they know hurts you, or I'm just trying to like pull something out for an example here. Mm-hmm. If they know that this topic hurts you, or like, hey, you remember that thing that happened to you? And you're like, I told you I didn't want to, talk about that yet, or talk about that again. You have every right to protect yourself and decide that that's not a conversation you're willing to entertain without cutting that person off. But if you have to, you have to. Sure. I'm ultimately, like, friendships, any type of, like, relationship or partnership dynamic is going to take a level of vulnerability and accountability. Mm-hmm. But vulnerability is something that, especially amongst, like, in my experience, especially amongst like women, older women, I have much more older women friends than I do have friends my age, and I always have like this admiration for like the types of conversations that can be had without there being like feelings of being like judged or being like, what am I trying to say, like attacked. Okay. And that's friendship too.
Yeah. Listening to each other.
Communication,
even if you don't agree. Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't agree on everything.
We so don't.
But try to at least see the other person's perspective, because you may be wrong. Them. I have had plenty of times where I've had an opinion and then, heard somebody else's opinion, and not necessarily completely changed my opinion, but at least, it's opened up my eyes to like, oh, okay, because I have lived one life, I've lived another life, so somebody else has a different perspective because, they grew up differently.
Yeah.
Gosh, there was something else I was going to say, and I can't remember what it was. I think it really does come out communication and respecting the other person, and, if this is somebody you want in your life, you fight for that relationship and know that it's not always going to be easy. Some days it may be hard.
Yeah.
Some days you may be giving 100% and their 100% is like 80. True. One person may be at
a higher capacity.
So you shift
meet in the middle, or not meet in the middle, because the middle may be a further distance for someone else, but you do.
Yeah.
And what am I trying to say? Like, let's say I'm functioning at like 80% today.
Yeah.
And you're at like 15.
Right.
Like, it's not fair for me to just be like, well, you got to meet me over here. The distance this is the middle. Yeah. I'm all the way right here, and you're all the way on the other side. You come to me. That's not fair.
It depends on the situation. Sometimes you can raise your vibration up to meet the other person.
It also takes knowing like how that person reacts to stress, because that's an interesting topic too. Because I feel like we all are. Well, not we all, but there are some of us that tend to want to be always in like the high vibration, the good vibes only squad, and it's not realistic or achievable. Like sometimes I'm not up here. Sometimes I'm like down here in the pits, and I can't be a good friend right now, but I love you and I just need a minute. As my internal like introversion self is like, dude, I'm down here. I need to go home.
That's when
I need to put my cardigan on and I need to play video games.
That's when you have to be your own best friend. But you also with me, if I'm in a crappy headspace and I'll like you know,
It's like,
agree with me on this, right? You do, right? You agree with me
I'm
on
not
this,
crazy,
right?
right?
Right. I may not see if you're at 20%,
and I'm just like,
and
bro.
I'm also at 20%.
I don't
I
know.
need to like, I need that boundary set. I need you to be like,
I'll
you know
tell
why I'm
you
being
later.
so quiet right now?
It's just
That's why I
I'm
need
down
that.
here.
That's
It's
what
like
I
I
need,
can't.
and I have to respect. I should, hopefully, we'll respect that. But sometimes I need it
And
in
that's
my
okay
face.
too.
Yeah.
That's okay too. You spoke earlier about like your siblings, and I just have to say this. You were speaking about how like your siblings are much older than you.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up opposite because I was an only child until I was 11. And by 11, I was like completely self-sufficient. Like, not emotionally, of course, but I could cook. I could cook and take care of myself pretty well. I'd have had like all the basics down. Like, if I had the credit score and the money for it, I could have managed my own house. I was really in there. But when my sister was born when I was 11, I helped out with her a lot. So it was like I was already self-sufficient, so I could, help with my sister in more ways than just being like the sister that goes and gets the diapers. Like, I'm like helping change the diapers, and me and her are sitting on the sofa and having snacks, and I'm taking her outside, and we're exploring outside together. And things like that. But I find that because I was already self-sufficient, it was easier for me to rationalize putting myself last.
Yeah, I can see that.
And that's why I have a hard time with it now. But
I put myself last a lot too, but for probably different reasons,
Interesting.
I guess we could talk about that. But I think when you are alone a lot, you sort of put yourself in a...
I think it's because like you've been alone for a minute, and then it's like, oh, it's this person, or like there's a friend now, so I need to give them all of like even my thoughts. There's this song by Skin Shape, I believe their name is. I love. Well, no, like I just found this back. I'm pretty sure they're older than me.
Oh, okay.
But like I've stopped listening to Apple Music, and I've been exploring with Spotify.
Okay.
And I love their music recommendations, and I love this band Skin Shape, and there's this song, maybe we can put like the link to it at the end, like in our caption, and it's called Inside, and like the key, like what is the word, the chorus, the main part of the song is, I want to know what you're thinking, how you're doing, how you're feeling inside. When will you let me, tell me, show me, give me everything that's on your mind? That's like the main part, and it like hits me in my like right in my like heart space, because that's like I said earlier, like just hearing how you're doing, you telling me that you're okay, or talking with me through this thing that I can tell you're worried about, is my way of being there and being a good friend. But I, for instance, have a friend who's about to move, and she's been asking for boxes. My little smart cart is like stacked with boxes for her, and I'm gonna go take them to her because she doesn't have the time to talk on the phone or have breakfast one day or meet up. She doesn't have that type of time, but I have the time to give her these boxes and make her life a little bit easier, and I have the time to just listen. So that's how I like to be a friend. And I suppose, like, as on the receiving end, I just like being in the presence of my friends, like doing new things and exploring stuff.
That's good. I think another thing that just sort of popped into my brain about like one of the more unhealthy friend dynamics would be like codependence. And
I've been there.
I mean, the whole idea of like trauma bonding, and it's probably the wrong word. I guess that's a thing now. Trauma bonding, or what is the other one? It's like bonding over trauma kind of thing, but also the urge to like fix other people.
Oh man.
And needing that dynamic, and if that dynamic isn't there,
it's totally a form of insecurity.
You're not interested as much to be in their life.
Or like you have to have, I don't even remember this therapist's name, so I don't care. But I had a therapist one time who was like that. I felt like because I wasn't like this like in shambles, like falling apart at the seams type person, she was just like, yeah, okay. She's like, well, if you need anything, you call me back. And I'm like, dude, I said I was okay, but I'm totally not.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like there are friends like that who are like, if you're not just like some hot mess, like just like oozing over the edges of your being with like trauma and not okayness, I feel like they need a project.
Yeah.
A project friend.
And it's really horrible. It's like, well, it's damaging because depending on the other person's state of mind, and I am talking about this from personal experience, it makes you want to stay a hot mess instead of evolving and healing because you don't want to
listening to yourself.
You don't want to lose your friends, and that's a really sad. I mean, that's.
I've had a similar.
I
can't say that one specifically, but I've had something that's probably on that spectrum.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just it's not healthy, and I have, like I said, I have had the experience, and it takes, in my experience, I've had to mature a lot out of those kind of dynamics, and I'm super grateful for the friends that I have made since. And I was younger too. But I'm very grateful for friends who create safe spaces and who create the energy where you can be ugly. Not ugly as in mean to each other.
No, but like belittling or abusive.
No, but being your
hot mess.
Being a hot mess, but not having it be a friend requirement for me to be that way, but to allow me to be a hot mess and still love me through it and love me after the mess has subsided.
I think that was legend. That was so well rounded.
Thank you.
You're right.
But I feel like I've said it a lot. Like we mistake certain dynamics for love when they are not. Like chaos and
codependency.
Chaos and drama. I think we confuse with passion and love a lot.
Humiliation within friend groups too.
Relationships should be something that adds value to your life and that helps lift you up and become your best self and cheer you on, and that you should cheer each other on instead of trying to compete with each other or pull each other down or back.
Yeah, I agree.
My 2 cents. I'm not sure how much else I have to say actually on this topic.
I was about to say the same. We're getting at that point, but maybe in closing we can maybe we should give a couple of tips of just the things that we have learned this week.
Well, I have learned too. Obviously everything is. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me, especially if it triggers something from your past, what is this helping me with? What is this helping me learn and grow and go through? Why am I going through this? And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're repeating old patterns, but it's easy to get triggered when you're going through a seemingly similar situation. But also the importance of communication and talking when you have these moments of crisis instead of holding it in, because Lord knows we do hold it in, and that's usually when things explode and somebody sends an ill-timed meme.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of what happened in our case. I was all, everything's fine,
and I was like,
this is interesting.
I was like, what's happening?
And I was like, oh my god.
So, in short,
sharing the other person's perspective, so you get oh my god, I did not intend that.
What happened?
This is what I intend, and hopefully they'll believe you.
Like I was saying, earlier this week, I was totally going through it. Emotionally, I've had some massive life changes that I'm adjusting to. And, you know, sometimes you learn a lesson the first time and, you know, you learn the lesson, but then you relapse and you have to learn it again, and it, like, really, really fucking gets you. Sorry for cursing, but I had to emphasize that.
Bleep it out.
We totally could bleep it
Can
out.
I?
Maybe.
I
don't know. But we, like, me and Leanne we have a unique friendship dynamic because we see each other, like,
all the time.
All the time. Like, if we saw each other any more than we see each other now, we would be living in the same in the same house. But I have been totally, like, just going through it emotionally. And normally I'm pretty good with, like, handling my emotions or, like, determining, like, okay, I will put these emotions on the back burner for a little bit and just get through this day, or just be like, okay, I can, like, get over my emotions by focusing on other people's emotions. Mm-hmm. Like, not in, like, a negative, like, obsessive way, like, oh, why are you upset today? But in, like, what's going to make you have a better day? Because my day is so shitty. How can I make your day better? It'll make me feel better. Huh. But on this particular day, I had finally got back home. Like, I was, like, in my, like, cozy clothes, and I was, like, painting. And I was, like, finally, like, working myself up to process some stuff that I was needing to process in my space. And Leanne sent me a meme. Like, she sent me a video clip. Yeah, it was, like, this. It was actually quite good in a weird way. I thought it was good. It was great. It was great. But it was just, like, I, like, watched this video. It was, like, a Jim Carrey, like, inspirational, like, thing about, like, depression versus sadness. And I was like, really short. I was like, Jim Carrey, like, I love Jim Carrey. I love his documentaries. Have you seen his documentary? Mm-hmm. I'll recommend it. He's just an amazing, like, individual, and I love this dude. So I watched this video, and I'm like, it's Jim Carrey, and then I started listening to what he was saying, and I was like, excuse me? And then I, like, watched it again, and it hit me so close to home that I was, like, bawling. This is my life right now. I don't know what to do about this. And I told Leanne, because I had been trying to, like, express that I was not doing good with communicating, and that I was, like, trying to process all this stuff. And ultimately, what I could have said instead was that I need to not communicate at all right now.
And I did not hear that. Or I don't know if you actually said it.
I don't think I said it like that.
I think you said it to yourself. Maybe. Probably. Because you said I was going over our conversation in my head, and I remember hearing one thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
I know that in that community, like, when I responded to that video, mm-hmm. I know that I was like, I just need to not talk right now. Yeah. But I do recall having said it, like, in the prior weeks, because I wasn't. What am I trying to say?
Put the pieces together.
Right. So instead of, like, if I'm having a problem, I don't like that word problem. If I need to talk, I like to talk in person. Right. Yeah, I like to sit down and, like, mm-hmm. be close to you. So that way we can, like, hug it out afterwards. Hugs make me feel great. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I gotta say this right now. Mm-hmm. So I said it, and I was, like, crying. And I was like, and then I was like, okay, now it's time to process the rest of this bullshit. And I did, and we met later in the week, and we talked about it. And it wasn't like, I always get so upset when I'm expressing how I'm feeling, because I'm so used to being told that what I'm feeling isn't valid. And I've gotten to this point where I'm like, fuck, I should stop cursing. I'm sorry. I'm like, no, like, this is what I'm feeling, and it is valid. What I'm feeling is valid. I'm Kalandra, and there's no other Kalandras around here that I've met. Mm-hmm. This is how I'm feeling. And I was, like, totally, like, coming in, like, in my mind, like, ready to, like, I don't know. I felt like you were going to, like, combat how I was feeling, but you were just like, I'm sorry. And no one's ever, I've never had, I don't have lots of
I was expecting you to come in and not talk to me.
No, I was, like, I made a beeline.
You did.
And I was like, can I hug you? I was like, can I hug you and thank you? Because she gave me what I was asking for. Mm-hmm. You didn't you didn't communicate with me for a couple days, and I needed that to recharge. And friendships aren't always like the most like streamlined thing ever, and I've seen folks who kick it off with friendship and they're like besties right away, and then they die off, or they slowly work their way into it and then they're besties forever, and a combination of all of those things numerous times in a row. But I can say this for sure, like having a friend who respects your hot mess, because I totally was a hot mess, is like invaluable.
I can also be a hot mess sometimes. It's hard when you're both hot mess at the same time.
And that's when we're like, hey, all I got is right. This is what I got right now.
But that's what we talked about, our communication styles being opposite. As far as I go out.
And I go
depending,
in.
And she goes in. And like, so you were talking about how you had been saying over the past few weeks, I guess you said that and I don't remember you doing that, because I if they were like little things here and there, maybe it didn't process in my head that way. In
my memory of just me, like in the past, and I'm not talking about like just like this week, I mean like in months past, I have a hardcore tendency to kind of like say what I need like this. Like, this is what I need. Well, and recently I've been more like, okay, that's what I need. I guess I'm going to say it with my chest this time. And that takes a lot of energy out of me for some reason.
Oh, I get it. I'm so used to not sharing when I'm upset. You've seen me. I've been like, and I'll just let it out. And you're like, why are you saying it so weird? And I'm just like, because I don't know how to say it. And you're going to like reject me. I'm not as bad. Although I did realize that this particular time when I was like sort of fearing what was going to happen when we saw each other again, I wasn't as afraid of the conversation.
Really?
Like just the idea of like, okay, we're going to have this conversation. I don't know what it's going to be, but I wasn't really afraid to have it, which is a new thing.
I was more afraid of, I was totally afraid of the conversation as much as I'd like desire having conversation. I was afraid.
You were pretty cool when you came in.
I was like, I just need to, like, I think it was like on the sideline, like when I was like walking into the building, I was like, this is how I'm feeling right now. I'm a little nervous. But then when I saw you, I was just like, I need my friend.
Well, that's normal too, being nervous to express your fear because you don't know what the reaction's going to be. I like to think that I create a safe space, or at least I try to.
Totally do.
But
you totally do.
Like communication style wise too, I know if you, sorry, we're having this personal conversation in front of the camera.
Oh yeah, hey.
But that's okay. Like in terms of communicating, this will be a little slice of life, I guess. So if you, from my perspective, I literally need to be told bluntly in that moment, hey, like you said, I need to just not talk right now. Instead of you having said it over the course of weeks in little moments, because I'm not going to remember that, or I'm not going to put it together as this has been built. Oh, that's it. So this has been building up, right? Is that what was happening?
Yeah.
So this is building up in my head that I need time. But on my receiving end, I'm hearing these in little snippets that don't connect to each other. So I come at it from, oh my God, this is coming out of nowhere. And she just said this one little thing to me yesterday. That's my perspective. That's another thing, perspective. Coming at, we have different perspectives on things.
Yeah.
Words.
We have been noticing that a lot lately. We
misunderstand each other sometimes just because we hear things slightly differently.
You were talking about your...
putting my thing together?
No, you were talking about taking an allergy pill and how... because you took it, you felt like it was helping you hear. But you didn't mean here like here. You meant like where you were. And I was like, how is it helping you here? What are you talking about? I was like, you need to go get that taken care of.
But that's the exact example of how we can say one thing and it can be perceived or received differently than how we intend it. And it can be hurtful. I
guess the second lesson is being present. Like being truly present.
And if you don't understand it in that moment, say that. Because you can you can really hurt each other's feelings over a misunderstanding.
Oh boy, yes.
Um,
So clear communications.
It was like I was talking about, I was putting a cabinet together last night in my apartment and something wasn't fitting. And I thought, well, this is just broken. It's messed up. And I wasn't even going to use it. And then I realized I'd been looking at the plan sideways for that particular bit. And then it worked.
Is that a good
it's not the best
analogy?
But I was like, oh, when you have the right
metaphor.
Information and when you have a clear understanding of what you're doing, it works.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have it just askew or not completely clear and you haven't asked for clarity, you're going to be operating under a completely different perception that the other person possibly didn't even mean.
Yeah.
And it can be super damaging. And all it would have taken was, hey.
That's why I hate texting.
Yeah, texting is shitty. Oh, now I swear. Sorry, Mom. Yeah, it's. I've had a couple instances with texting that was not cool.
Yeah.
The tone never comes through. Anyway,
it never does.
We are running really long. Thank you for our for attending our TED Talk on friendship and also witnessing our processing of our current, our most recent misunderstanding. I hope that
and
helps some of you.
Tolerating our potty mouths while we talk about this really real stuff.
It is, and I think that's the other thing, not to be afraid to be real with each other. And if it's a friendship you really want to keep, because, I mean, in my opinion, good friends are family.
Yeah.
I mean, not to be cheesy, but it's like, it's important. Friendship is important, and feeling safe with other people is super important.
And being able to be yourself in any scenario and with any group of people is very important too.
Yeah, and this is something we try to foster in our sister circle. These videos are supposed to sort of supplement that, and we try to create a safe space for people, women specifically, to unpack them all this stuff within a safe space, and hopefully it'll help create healthy relationships and friendships and spill over into other things and create good vibes and energy, and that's pretty much it. That's
totally it, y'all. Thank you for hanging out with us, and if you can relate or have anything that you want to share or a topic that you would like to see us discuss, please comment and let us know. Also, if you are here in Shreveport, our next BLOOMBOX will be next Sunday.
You mean Sister Circle?
Yeah, sorry.
Bloom Sister Circle.
Bloom Sister Circle is going to be next Sunday. If you have not already gotten your tickets, please do so. It is downtown Shreveport. All the information is on our Facebook page. Otherwise...
the topic is going to be acting from a place of compassion, love and compassion in a world of conflict.
Yeah, which is very on theme for Valentine's Day or just the state of existence right now, honestly. But thank you once again. We love y'all, and all we want to do is nourish you so that you can bloom into your best version. We're out of here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.